Did you know that 65% of people are afraid of public speaking? That's right, more than the fear of death. But here's the real shocker: becoming a great speaker is not about natural talent. It's about how you learn, remember, and apply information. And the truth is, anyone can become a master communicator with the right approach. What if I told you that with just 10 minutes of daily practice, you could significantly improve your speaking skills in less than a month? Imagine memorizing a whole speech, not by cramming, but by focusing on small, simple steps that stick. You can become more confident and compelling, no matter where you start. In this guide, I'll share the exact strategies I use to learn and remember things easily, strategies that don't involve endless hours of study or stress. From breaking things down into bite-sized pieces to using emotions and imagery, I'll walk you through practical tips that will boost your memory, your delivery, and your speaking success. Ready to unlock the secrets to becoming a great speaker? Stick with me, and I'll show you how the effort rule can change the way you speak, learn, and remember. Chapter 1: The Effort Shift. Turning hard work into effortless learning. Becoming a great speaker is not about doing more work, it's about doing the right work. The first step is realizing that effort is the key to unlocking faster learning and better memory retention. Think about it: when we push ourselves to the limit, we often end up feeling exhausted and discouraged. But here's the twist: research shows that focused effort is way more effective than simply working hard. In 2017, a study from the Journal of Educational Psychology found that students who put in deliberate effort, rather than cramming or overstudying, remembered material much better. It's the same for speakers: you can practice for hours, but if your effort isn't strategic, the results will be limited. It's about focusing on quality, not quantity. For example, rather than practicing an entire speech from start to finish every day, try focusing on one section at a time. This targeted effort helps to carve out stronger memory pathways in your brain. Plus, you won't burn out. The key is making sure you are pushing yourself, but without overwhelming your brain's capacity to absorb new information. A great speaker isn't born, they are made with deliberate practice. And that's why the effort shift matters. Take a page from the book Peak: Secrets from the New Science of Expertise by Anders Ericsson. Ericsson emphasizes that top performers don't just put in time, they deliberately structure their practice to constantly challenge themselves. That's how they improve. Same goes for speaking. When you apply the effort rule, it's important to stay consistent. A study by the University of California found that short, frequent sessions were more beneficial for long-term retention than one long session. So, instead of cramming all at once, try splitting your practice into focused 10-20-minute sessions each day. By prioritizing effort, you make your learning journey less about struggle and more about smart work. Consistency plus the right effort equals exponential growth in your speaking skills. Chapter 2: The Power of Microlearning. Small, digestible pieces for big gains. Microlearning is a powerful way to train your brain. This technique is all about breaking down complex tasks into small, digestible chunks. In fact, studies show that our brains retain small bits of information much better than large blocks. According to the Journal of Educational Psychology, when people engage in microlearning, they experience a 20% increase in retention compared to more traditional methods of learning. For speakers, this means you don't have to memorize an entire speech all at once. Start by learning one section at a time. It's like eating a giant meal in small bites instead of trying to swallow it whole. If you can memorize one paragraph today, another tomorrow, and so on, you're building your speech in manageable increments. This approach is backed by science. The human brain simply isn't designed to process too much information at once. Microlearning allows you to slowly master a skill by practicing small, focused portions. So, the next time you need to memorize a speech, break it down into mini lessons that you can tackle throughout the week. It also helps with attention. A report by e-learning industry found that microlearning can improve focus by over 50%. This is because short sessions help keep our brains from getting distracted. As a speaker, you need your focus on key ideas and powerful delivery. Microlearning can train your brain to stay engaged longer and absorb more. Another benefit of microlearning is its flexibility. You can practice anytime, anywhere. A 2019 study showed that 70% of employees preferred learning in short bursts instead of long, drawn-out lessons. The same applies to public speakers. Whether you're on the train, waiting in line, or between meetings, you can take advantage of small moments to perfect your delivery or memorize a few lines. Remember, the goal is not to rush through your learning, but to chip away at it bit by bit. That's how you become truly great, by turning tiny steps into giant strides over time. And it's all about effort, remember? Microlearning lets you apply focused effort in short bursts that lead to massive improvement. Chapter 3: Emotionally Anchored Learning. Remember more by feeling more. One of the most effective ways to make your speech unforgettable is by connecting it to emotions. When you add emotional elements to what you're learning, your brain creates stronger associations. A study published in Neuroimage revealed that emotional memories are far more likely to be retained than neutral memories. In short, if you feel something when you're learning, it sticks. As a speaker, this means that your content should resonate emotionally with your audience. The more your speech connects with feelings, the more likely your audience is to remember it. Think about famous speeches throughout history, like Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream." The emotional power of that speech has made it unforgettable for generations. But it doesn't just apply to your audience, it works for you as the speaker, too. When you can anchor your material to personal emotions or stories, you will find it easier to recall and speak naturally. For example, if you're speaking about a topic that excites you, that energy will transfer to the words you say, making them more memorable. In Make It Stick: The Science of Successful Learning, the authors discuss how emotional connections are essential for deeper learning. They argue that the emotional context around information helps create lasting memories. So, when preparing for your speech, think about moments that make you feel passionate or deeply connected to the topic. Anchor your message in these feelings. It's not just about telling a story, but about living the story as you speak it. A study from the University of California found that using personal anecdotes in speeches helped increase recall by over 40%. Why? Because stories are emotional by nature. They allow your brain to connect information with feelings, which makes it stick. So, the next time you practice, don't just focus on the words. Tap into the emotions behind them. How does this idea make you feel? When you connect with that emotion, you'll find it easier to convey those feelings to others and make your speech unforgettable. The more you can emotionally anchor your material, the stronger and clearer your memory will be. If you found this chapter helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights and strategies to improve your speaking skills. Chapter 4: Effortful Repetition. The hidden superpower of mastery. Repetition is often seen as tedious, but when done correctly, it becomes the key to mastering anything, including public speaking. The idea is simple: to ingrain a skill, you must practice it repeatedly. But there's a twist: it's not about mindlessly repeating the same thing over and over. Research shows that effortful repetition is the most effective way to retain information. In Make It Stick, the authors discuss the concept of deliberate practice. They argue that the most effective form of repetition isn't simply doing the same thing repeatedly, but doing it with the goal of improving each time. This is where the magic happens. You can't expect to get better by just saying your speech the same way every day. You have to push your boundaries and identify areas where you can improve each time. A study in psychological science found that learners who actively engaged in effortful repetition, pushing themselves to recall and refine their knowledge, experienced up to 50% better retention compared to those who just repeated passively. So, next time you rehearse your speech, don't just run through it. Focus on one specific part, identify the areas where you stumble, and work on them until you feel confident. This strategy is also supported by the famous spacing effect, where spreading out practice sessions leads to better long-term retention. A 2010 study from the University of California found that learners who spaced their practice across several days remembered the material better than those who crammed all at once. This means that if you spread out your speech rehearsals and revisit different sections over time, your memory of the content will be much stronger. In practice, the idea is to make small, incremental improvements with each repetition. Whether it's a line of dialogue, a gesture, or the tone of your voice, the goal is to fine-tune the details. The result? A performance that feels natural and confident, not forced or robotic. Repetition isn't about doing more, it's about being strategic with your practice. If you apply effortful repetition, you'll see noticeable improvement in your delivery and retention. This is how experts in any field, including public speaking, keep getting better. Chapter 5: The Visual Advantage. How imagery makes your speech stick. The human brain is wired to remember images more easily than words alone. This is why using visual imagery in your speech can make a massive difference in how well you retain and communicate information. In fact, studies show that adding visual components to your learning process improves memory retention by up to 42%. In The Art of Public Speaking, Dale Carnegie suggests that using mental imagery is one of the most powerful techniques a speaker can use. For example, instead of memorizing facts or data points verbatim, try picturing them in a visual context. When you're talking about a significant number or statistic, imagine the image that would help convey it most powerfully. Visualizing helps make abstract ideas tangible and easier to recall later. A 2018 study published in Science Direct found that people who created mental images while studying performed 60% better on recall tests than those who didn't use any imagery. The brain connects imagery with emotional responses, which strengthens memory. By mentally picturing the ideas you want to communicate in your speech, you are giving your brain a clearer pathway to retrieve that information when it's needed. As a speaker, you can use this to your advantage. Before you present, visualize yourself delivering your speech successfully. Picture yourself walking onto the stage, delivering your opening lines with confidence, and seeing the audience respond positively. This not only helps you remember your lines, but also builds your confidence and reduces anxiety. Visualizing success helps you perform at your best. Moreover, the use of imagery doesn't have to be just personal. Use metaphors and comparisons in your speech that create vivid images. For example, if you're talking about teamwork, don't just say, "We need to work together," but say, "We need to be like a well-oiled machine, each part moving in harmony." This turns your abstract idea into something your audience can visualize and remember. The brain loves stories, too. In The Neuroscience of Selling, Dr. John Medina explains how storytelling can activate multiple areas of the brain, making it easier to remember. By telling a story that paints a picture in your audience's mind, you give them a memorable image that sticks long after the speech is over. So, when preparing for your next presentation, think about how you can bring the words to life with visuals. Whether through metaphors, storytelling, or mental imagery, your audience, and your brain, will thank you for it. Chapter 6, The 10-Minute Rule. How quick, daily wins lead to long-term success. When you think about improving as a speaker, you might imagine hours of daily practice, but here's the truth. You don't need to spend hours to improve. The key is consistency. The 10-minute rule is all about taking small chunks of time each day to practice and improve. This strategy is simple, but it's highly effective. Research supports this idea. A study from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that learners who practiced their skills in short, consistent bursts saw better long-term results than those who tried to cram in lengthy sessions. This is because shorter practice sessions reduce fatigue, keep the brain engaged, and prevent burnout. In fact, 10 minutes a day is often more effective than 60 minutes of dull, repetitive work. For speakers, this could mean practicing for just 10 minutes every morning before work. You can rehearse a segment of your speech, practice your gestures, or even refine your vocal tone. This doesn't feel like a huge time commitment, but the compounding effect over time can lead to significant improvements. The best part? The 10-minute rule helps you stay motivated. By making your practice sessions short and focused, it's easier to stay consistent. This is key because it's the consistency that makes the difference. According to a 2015 study by the American Psychological Association, small daily habits are much more likely to lead to long-term success than infrequent, intense bursts of effort. This method also works because it taps into the power of micro-habits. In his book Atomic Habits, James Clear explains that tiny habits, like practicing for 10 minutes a day, can lead to massive changes over time. The more you practice, the more automatic your speaking skills become, until you no longer have to think about them. They'll just flow naturally. Incorporating the 10-minute rule into your daily routine also reduces the stress of feeling like you need to commit hours each day to improvement. When you know you only need a few minutes to make progress, it's easier to stay consistent and motivated, which ultimately helps you improve faster. So, whether you're working on a new speech, improving your delivery, or memorizing lines, remember that small, focused efforts every day add up. Stick to the 10-minute rule, and you'll see your speaking skills improve significantly over time. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips and strategies to keep improving your speaking abilities.